Portugal was, at one point, one of the largest countries of the colonial empire. The Portuguese even was the first country to get a colony. But soon, the giant would fall. The empire that began colonial conquest would end it. In 1806, during the Napoleonic Wars, after turning down an alliance with Napoleon I, Napoleon began to invade Portugal. During this time, instead of surrender, the House of Bragança fled to their colonial possession of Brazil. When there, King John VI declared Rio de Janeiro the new capital of the empire, removed colonial restrictions, and even made it an equal partner of the empire, no longer a colony. Rio was as Portuguese as Lisbon. Even after the end of the reign of Napoleon, John did not want to leave, for Brazil was now filled with art, universities, and was on its way to ending slavery. But after the revolutions in Portugal, John had to return to take care of business, leaving his son, Pedro, to rule. But after the new constitutional monarchy government declared Brazil a colony again, Brazil declared independence in 1822, and the final Portuguese troops left in 1824. Finally, in 1825, Brazil was recognized as an independent country from Portugal, only after Britain said slavery would begin to be dissolved and Portugal would get a ton of money. Portugal, during the 1920s and 1930s, became a fascist dictatorship, though the colonies in Africa, India, and China remained. But the decolonization was rapidly expanding, with the UN supporting decolonization. So instead of decolonizing, Portugal declared that all of their colonial possessions were a part of Portugal. But soon the dominoes would fall. The newly independent India decided all of India should be in Indian control. Portugal was the second largest holder of land in India, and after Indian independence, number 1. Soon Indian troops invaded Goa. This led violent protests in the colonies to ensue that would begin the Portuguese colonial wars, or for Portugal, a civil war. But even though 20% of the male population was sent to the colonies and 40% of funding went to the military, colonies began to slip. In 1973, Portugal lost Guinea-Bissau. In 1974, the Carnation Revolution began and overthrew the current government. This government was heavily towards decolonization. Soon, one by one, in 1975, the Portuguese began to give up one colony after another. Angola and Mozambique became newly independent nations, while East Timor became a part of Indonesia. But one part of overseas Portugal was left. Before we can explain Macau falling, we must explain its rise and its neighbor Hong Kong. Portugal loved to trade, and one of the markets they traded in was China. But what they sold did not make the Chinese happy, and after some skirmishes, Portugal bought Macau. Britain had a similar way of getting Hong Kong, except put skirmishes for opium wars and put money for guns. Except Hong Kong looked like just the island and a small area of land. That's because they leased the rest of the land for 99 years. That's the problem. 99 years later, China is communist and powerful, which has expanded so far and is beginning their economic rise. Now, the lease was about to end, but Britain still technically had the island and a little bit of land. But China wanted the island and a little bit of land, and after heated debate in 1997, China gained all of Hong Kong, only with a special zone which made them capitalists. Next up on China's hit list was Macau. Now Macau was no longer a trading buddy, but a gambling capital of the world, with Las Vegas looking like a duck compared to the Dragon of Macau. Portugal bought Macau forever, but China brought in the military, and Portugal got a deal like Hong Kong there and another for a similar system. In the end, Portugal came in with the first colony in the world, and the last.